This podcast is a Radio Mike original production. Head to radiomike.com.au to find out more.
Show your move. Good news, everyone.
Welcome to a 20th Century Boy. My name is Ratio Mark, and this is the inside of my mind. Imagine that, though. Imagine if there was a guy called Ratio Mark, and he was a mathematician. G'day, guys. I'm Ratio Mark, and the ratio of podcasts to people is 2 to 1. It's a bit like that, isn't it? Like, do you think, like, for every one person, there are 2 podcasts? I would say that is probably, like, because I currently have 2 active podcasts. I have had 3 total, right? So that means for me, one person, I've had 3 podcasts. So that's a 3 to 1 ratio of people to podcasts. That's something for this week. What's your podcast ratio? So if you are one person and you do 0 podcasts, your podcast to person ratio is 0 to 1. If you are 2 people, I don't know how you would be, but if you are 2 people and you do 4 podcasts, then your podcast to person ratio is 2 to 4. Therefore, I guess it's 1 to 2. A ratio is just fractions. I don't know. I'm not a mathematician. I'm a podcaster called Radio Mike. I'm not Ratio Mark. He doesn't exist, but I like to do a fun little different name for myself every week. I think last week it was Radioactive Microwave. The week before that, it was Radio Waves Michelangelo. So there are a few different names, and feel free to suggest them. If you're new to this podcast, you're probably going to be really confused so far. I've just been talking about podcast to people ratios and calling myself Ratio Mark. This is a podcast called 20th Century Boy, a podcast about me, this guy right here, Radio Mike, a podcast producer and podcaster and writer and funny person, I like to think, from Melbourne, Australia. And it's a podcast that walks through the many wonders and the blunders, sometimes blunders, probably bloody more blunders than wonders, to be honest, of Radio Mike's life. And generally at the start of this podcast, I just talk about my week and how things have been bloody going, and things have been really good here in Melbourne. To all the Melburnians listening and non-Melburnians listening, maybe you'd understand, maybe you won't, but it has been bloody good to be getting out, getting ramen, getting food, hanging out with friends, and actually engaging with real life again. And I have absolutely loved doing that over the last little while. If you are from Melbourne, say hell yeah right now. Hell yeah. Didn't hear ya. Hell yeah. Good work, guys. And aside from that, it has been really cool. I mentioned on last week's pod that I moved into a share house with a couple of my friends. That has been really awesome. We have been watching a lot of Dragon Ball Z still. Every night we watch 3 or 4 episodes of Dragon Ball Z Kai. Dragon Ball Z Kai is like the remade version of Dragon Ball Z where they cut out all the filler episodes, because if anyone has watched the original Dragon Ball Z, it takes one fight in that show, takes like 50 episodes. In Dragon Ball Z Kai, they just condense everything and make it much, much easier to watch. So that's been really good. These podcasts go out every Thursday morning at midnight, and there is also a video podcast every week, a full video version of this podcast on YouTube. Thank you to everyone who's checked that out and subscribed. I also put longer clips from the show on the YouTube, which has been really good. I put a bunch out this week just to trial it, and the subscribers went up, the views went up. Oops, sorry, just hiccuped. And it's really cool. So I'm going to keep doing that and just see how we go. But yeah, video podcast for this every week at the same time as the audio. So wherever you choose to listen or watch, that's great. And give the video a thumbs up. Give me a subscribe, radio.mike on YouTube, and go and do that. This week, I won't say it, but if you are watching the video version, you will know that I am wearing a band t-shirt of one of my favorite bands. You can see it now. Audio listeners, you will not know what the band is, but video listeners, there's some incentive to go and watch the video. You can see the exact band t-shirt that I am wearing. It's been a lot of fun, and I have a bunch of stuff that I would like to plug at the top here. A lot of stuff's happened this week. As always, you can hear me every week, 2 days a week, actually, Mondays and Tuesdays. You can hear me on Hamish and Andy's Remembering Project. Go and check that out. It's been a lot of fun hearing those come out and hearing the feedback for those. So thank you to everyone who's given me positive feedback about Hamish and Andy's Remembering Project, where we look back at one day in the history of Hamish and Andy and talk memories of that day. Been a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I will put in a funny moment. I'll put in a funny clip from one of the episodes from this week, so you can go and check that out.
But the opener,
Yes.
just for our own amusement. So
we're so proud of it.
usually, Mike, would you be given that title? Low-cost ambassador. So you're like, okay, what's a song?
Yeah.
What's like a jingle you could come up with using those words? Can you think of anything to put your head?
No, not off the top of my head.
Nothing springs to mind when you think low-cost ambassador?
Literally not my mind is empty.
Right,
Is there a
nothing-
song with those words?
Well, I think you're about to hear there's a really obvious choice.
Hamish and Andy's low cost ambassador. Low cost ambassador.
Hamish and Andy driving you home there. The jingle for our low-cost ambassadors. It's as good as I remember it. Still our best.
Actually, that's way better than I remember it.
Aside from that, a bunch of other stuff, really exciting stuff to plug, including episode 2 of Harry Potter and the Boys, my fan fiction Harry Potter podcast. That came out yesterday. Those episodes come out every Wednesday. Again, video and audio. Go and subscribe to Harry Potter and the Boys now, and please leave a review, a written review on the iTunes or the podcast, Apple Podcast. That would be awesome. That really helps. So I would love for you to share that around. Chapter 2, which was called The Second Chapter. A lot of people have listened so far. Again, I will put another plug from that here, just so you can have a taste of what it is like. It is a lot of fun. I just read my Harry Potter fan fiction from when I was 13. Go and check it out. What was he saying? And what had happened to him? I guess that's the narrator just asking the reader, what was he saying and what had happened to him? It's like a tease at the end of a movie, at the end of like a TV show. Ooh, what will happen next time on Harry Potter and the Boys? Find out next week. What was he saying and what had happened to him? And then this is the last sentence of the chapter. So get ready for this. This is quite good. I really like this. So LP, he mumbled, what was he saying and what had happened to him? And then it goes, something strange was already starting to happen in this book. And it was only the second chapter. So again, not often does a book acknowledge the fact that it is a book, and not often does a book say, "Wow, it's only the second chapter of this book, and something strange is already starting to go down here." Again. Full eps on the YouTube, as I said. And 2 more things. The first one, very special thank you to the Paging Mr. Potter podcast, who caught wind of the fact that I was doing Harry Potter fan fiction and had me on their podcast. Now, Paging Mr. Potter, what is it? Well, Paging Mr. Potter is a podcast by 3 guys, Reardon, Andrew, and Nathan. And each week, how crazy is it? It's actually a crazy concept. Each week, they read 1 page of a Harry Potter book. 1 page. They are currently up to page 94, and page 94, and they've been doing it for 2 years. So they will never finish it. They just literally will never finish it. But we read page 94, and we also talked a little bit about this podcast and Harry Potter and the Boys, and just a bunch of Harry Potter nerding out. And I had a lot of fun with that. So please go and listen to that. You can find that wherever you podcast. Paging Mr. Potter. Really great title as well. And finally, another special thank you to everyone who checked out Mike Talks. Mike Talks is the Friday edition of this show, where it comes out some Fridays when I can be bothered, but I've done 3 in a row now, and there will be one this Friday. I just talk to someone that I think is cool and interesting for about 45 minutes to an hour. It was Ruben solo this week, and it was in person as well, so it was great to catch up with Ruben, who is a really funny dude who does some ingeniously hilarious Instagram and YouTube sketches. So go and check him out. He's very funny. We had a great chat. We talked about board games. We talked about writing sketches. We talked about my experiences on choir camp and the choir camp talent quests where I used to perform sketches. And it was a lot of fun. It was really great to catch up with him. So go and check out the Mike Talks. This podcast comes out on Thursdays. Tomorrow, there is another Mike Talks. And I don't usually like giving away who it is with, but I will do it because I'm really, really excited about this one. It is actually going to be a Mike Talks with Broden Kelly, who is 1/3 of the performers in Auntie Donna, one of my favorite comedy sketch groups of all time. We have recorded it. It will be out tomorrow, Friday. And they have a new Netflix show that comes out. If you're listening to this on the day it's out, it comes out today. It is on Netflix. I think it's 6 episodes. We talk a bit about it. Man, it was so cool chatting to Broden. I was really, really stoked that he agreed to come on, and it's a great chat. So I hope you guys enjoy that when it comes out. We talk all about Netflix and everything like that. So a lot of stuff happening. And I realized between the Remembering Project on Mondays and Tuesdays, Harry Potter and the Boys on Wednesdays, 20th Century Boy on Thursdays, and Mike Talks on Fridays, as well as occasionally appearing on the standard Hamish and Andy podcast on a Thursday, you can now potentially get a tasting of Mike every weekday. You can get something from Mike, and I just think that's really cool. I have a few more podcast appearances that I'm going to be doing. A few people have asked me to pop onto their podcasts, and I'm really, really, really excited, just doing more and more stuff. Of course, radiomike.com.au, that has now been updated. That is my website. Don't forget the AU. Do not go to radiomike.com. That is a different Radio Mike. He is a dickhead who tried to make me pay $10,000 for his defunct website. Wow, there is a lot of lore to this podcast if you're new. I hope you're enjoying it. Radiomike.com.au, the best way to support this show, grab yourself a sticker pack. The sticker packs cost $20 and I will send them out to you. There are 5 stickers for $20. They're good quality stickers. And thanks to everyone who's bought them. It's been really cool. I got another shipment of stickers in, so there are plenty of stickers to sell. So thanks to everyone's bought them. If you haven't bought one yet, feel free to buy one. It just helps keep the lights on at Radio Mike Productions for another month and means I can keep making this content and pay for the podcast to be hosted online, which just costs a small amount of money each month. Essentially, if everyone buys a sticker pack, it just covers that. And yeah, you can put the stickers on your laptop, your guitar, the back of your car, your bloody, I don't know. I used to put stickers on my bed head. I don't know if your parents let you do that. If you're over 18, I assume you were allowed to do that without asking your parents. But I feel like having stickers on your bed head is a very like primary school thing. So I assume no one's going to do that. Just buy a sticker pack. I don't know. Put the stickers wherever you want. Don't put them anywhere. Throw them in the bin. Just support the show. I don't know. Hey, special shout out here to Radio Nathan Little. Welcome to the Radio family, Radio Nathan Little, who has contributed to the show before. And just a little bit of feedback from him, which I really liked. He said, "Morning, Mike. I'm really enjoying the podcast these days. I think some of my favorite episodes ever. That is really cool. I'm really grateful to hear that. Also, what I like equally is Mike Talks. It's really good. It's such a surprise when it's out, as it's not supposed to be weekly. So it's awesome when it is. And awesome. I am really, really glad that people are enjoying the pod and enjoying the episodes of the pod that we have been putting out. Another one came in, and I'm really sorry about this. I don't know how to say your name because your name on Instagram features letters that are not part of the alphabet that I am familiar with. I don't know how to say your name, but your username is Sapiniski. So I'm going to call you Radio Sapiniski, and welcome to the Radio family, Radio Sapiniski. It says, "Hey, Mike, greetings from Ukraine," which is awesome. This is his first interaction with the show. "Greetings from Ukraine. Listen to the first episode of your podcast. It was really heartwarming. You seem like a great dude. I hope since then you've taught yourself not to overthink stuff. By the way, Ave Maria slaps." Ave Maria, of course, being one of the songs from my album with Jack Post for our band Release the Sounds. Ave Maria I'll put a bit of it here. It's one of my favorite songs from the album, and you can always support me by going and listening to Release the Sounds, my band.
Ave Maria, la bella to mia, you're making me freer, you're making me feel so. Ave Maria, la bella to mia, you're making me freer, you're making me feel so. Ba-da-da-ba-da-ba-da.
And awesome. Thanks, Radio Supniski. I hope I'm pronouncing that kind of correct. And interesting looking back to that first episode of the podcast, which was actually recorded in the middle of 2018 and was released at the start of 2019. And I feel like I have come so far since that podcast. I really do feel like I've made a lot of progress with myself. And this podcast has obviously changed so much over the 2 years that it's been running. But I feel like the spirit of the podcast is still here. And I really appreciate everyone for sticking with it and new listeners who are starting at the start and in for a bloody roller coaster of a show. Yeah, I am really, really grateful for that. One more thing before we get into a few of the segments of the show that we do here. And this is the world's only winnable podcast. I am positive, I am certain that 20th Century Boy is the only podcast that the listeners can actually win. If you win the podcast finishes. Of course, it is very difficult to win the podcast. It's not going to be easy because it ruins the podcast by ending it. The way to win the podcast is right now, wherever you are, do a 360 on the spot. Just look around, do a 360. If you're an owl, can't owls turn their heads in 360 degrees or something? Assuming there are no owls that listen to this podcast, but do a 360. If I am in your vicinity, if I happen to be in your vicinity by pure chance, pure coincidence, you can't set it up, you can't camp outside my workplace. If you see me, come up to me and say, Mike, I think I've won the podcast. And if you prove to me that you are up to this point of the podcast, you have won the podcast ends. There is a prize. I will not reveal the prize until somebody wins. It is getting easier to win the podcast now that Melbourne is out of lockdown. I don't believe anyone knows the new suburb that I live in. So, you know, it's, I am around. I'm often off on a run. I am going out to dinners with friends now. I am out in the open. I am not trapped inside. I'm out in the open. So there is a really good chance someone could win the podcast soon. And yeah, good luck, I guess. I don't want the podcast to end, but if you win, you win. And that's all there is to it. There are two prizes to winning the podcast. One is a free sticker pack. The second one I will not reveal until someone wins. Okay, today is a momentous occasion in the history of the TCB podcast because we are making a lot of headway in this. This is an initiative I created that so far has only benefited me, which was not the original purpose. It is the Podcast Pokemon Card Trading Network, the PPC, Podcast Pokemon Card Trading Network, TN, PPC, TN. And the idea of this is I a few months ago, or months and months ago, when I was able to go to my parents' pre-lockdown, I found my old Pokemon card collection, realized there were a few key cards missing from the collection, and this has been an absolute saga. I want to complete the collection. I wanted your help. A lot of you helped out sending me cards. Some of you asked for money. The idea was that we would trade Pokemon cards. Some of you just asked for money and I sent it to you and got the cards. Still a few cards missing, including the Doug Trio card. I thought I solved it by buying it on eBay. Turned out it wasn't one of the original cards. Got the wrong Doug Trio, wasted $3 on that. The Psyduck card, which Psyduck is not a rare card. It's quite a common card. Don't know how I missed that. And then two very, very rare cards left. The Gengar card and the Articuno card. The shiny holo cards as well. So I reached out and keen listener of the show, Radio Alex Sky. Welcome back to the radio family, Radio Alex Sky. He was very happy to help. He had all four of these cards and was willing to engage with a trade. Of course, all my doubles were at my parents' house, so I could not actually honor the trade until now. Now I have all my doubles. I have looked through them. He has sent me the Doug Trio, Psyduck, and Gengar and Articuno cards, I believe. They have not arrived yet, but they have been sent. And the cards that he wanted. Here are the cards that I am going to be sending you, Alex Sky. This is the first official trade, the first actual time we're doing what we were supposed to do in this segment, which is trade Pokemon cards. I have a bunch of cards that I am sending your way, including the Pinsir card. The Pinsir, which is a bug-type Pokemon who has a spiky head and a guillotine kind of head. The Clefable card. Clefable is a fairy-type Pokemon who looks like a fairy. Muck, which is a poison-type Pokemon who is made out of poison gunk. I am sending you that card. Snorlax, the normal-type bear Pokemon who's just a really fat, lazy Pokemon. Vileplume, I'm sending you a lot of cards for 4 cards. Vileplume, the grass and poison type Pokemon that's like a flower. And Arcanine, the fire dog, who's like a bit of a fan favorite. All those cards are yours, Alex Sky. Wow, we're finally doing a great trade in the podcast Pokemon Card Trading Network. However, that's not all, Alex Sky. I am throwing in an amazing bonus card for you. I am throwing in a Yu-Gi-Oh card, and that Yu-Gi-Oh card that is now yours to keep is Trent, the tree Yu-Gi-Oh card. I talked about this on the show last week where I found a random Yu-Gi-Oh card called Trent that is an enchanted tree, and I thought it was funny that its name was Trent. Hey, guess what, Alex? Trent is yours to keep. You have Trent now. All these cards plus Trent are yours. Actually, I have 2 Muck cards. I'll give you both because then you can trade that on. There you go. That and I think there's still a couple cards from the collection missing, which I will go through for next week, and then we can put out another call for cards. But any Pokemon cards or anything you want to send to the show, just send them to 257 Clarendon Street, South Melbourne 3205. That's my work. I think they get confused when I just get letters with Pokemon cards in them, but I'll just keep doing it until they tell me to stop. There are lots of ways you can get in touch with this show, and this show is built by you guys, the listeners and girls, and whoever you are. This show is built by you. There are lots of ways you can get in touch. Radio.Mike on Instagram. Just send me a DM there, whatever you want to say. RadioMikePod@gmail.com is a great way to get in touch as well. And the phone number for this podcast, the official podcast hotline, 1-800-GET-FKD, 1-800-438-353. Get in touch there whenever you want. We also have a jingle. Play that jingle.
If you've got a contribution to the podcast, there's only one number you see. Go 1-800-438-353.
Yeah, I do a little dance in the video version if you want to go and watch that. But last week, and actually, funnily enough, the jingle was made by 2 listeners of the show. One was Radio Alex Sky, who was previously mentioned, and one was Radio Scooter, all the way from the UK. They collaborated on that together to create that jingle. But last week, we decided that we were going to start remixing the jingle. We were going to start doing jingle remixes and new versions of the jingle, so we can just have heaps of different jingle versions. We have a jazz version of the jingle, which we played last week, and I have been given a brand new remix of the jingle this week, which is a campfire version. It's like a slow campfire version of the jingle. So let's hear the campfire version of the jingle right now.
If you've got a contribution to the podcast, there's only one number you see. Call 1-800-438-353.
That's a great one. Anyone can cover or remix or do a new version of the campfire jingle just the jingle. An a cappella of the vocals was posted in the podcast Discord, which is the community where we as a community gather. Most nights there's a bunch of stuff happening in the Discord. There's lots of different chat channels. Discord is just a group chat app with different threads, so everyone can participate there. Just send me a message if you want to join the Discord. The more the merrier. We have over 100 people in there. Lots of active people just chatting most nights, and it's a lot of fun. So the acapella is in the Discord. Go join, make a remix, or just do a cover yourself on guitar. Would love to hear them. That is an ongoing thing for this podcast, just doing remixes of the podcast jingle. So definitely get on board that. All right. Enough fun and games. I know what you're all thinking. We got to do one of these bad boys.
Lost in Translation.
Lost in Translation.
Yeah, so this segment is called Lost in Translation, a little bit of a game that goes for 2 weeks. So the first week is the setup. This is the reveal week. Lost in Translation is a segment where I put a famous song lyric from a famous song into Google Translate, translate it back and forth between 20 languages, and bam, spit out whatever it spits out with like the corrupted translated lyrics back to English. You guys have to guess what the song is. Often you guys are very, very good at this. Often it's quite good. Except this one from last week got pretty corrupt. Like almost no remnants of the original song were left in. The translated lyrics from Google were this.
I do not feel that way. Very tired, very active. I was surprised. Not me or you.
And I did give a few clues. I do give a few clues each week onto what the answer may be. And the clues were that this is like a big band, particularly in the late 90s, early 2000s. They are still quite popular. They're still kind of around. I'm not really sure. But this particular song is very famous and most people would know it. There is also what I will call a remix of this song that is almost more popular / more famous than the original song. A lot of the lyrics did get very, very, very lost. I gave another clue in the Discord because no one was getting it. So that's another reason to get in the Discord. That the last bit, not me or you, was probably the part that lasted the most. And that really triggered a few people to figure out the answer. Now, actually, possibly 2 of the most hardcore listeners of this show, Radio Alex Sky and Radio Scooter. Funnily enough, it is Radio Scooter, I believe, who has figured out the correct answer, as well as one other person in the Discord. And I'm just going to quickly find who that was. Yes, Radio Lazar, who is another regular listener of this show. He has figured out the correct answer. So I'll give you a couple moments here. Like this is where you know, your brain needs to be searching for that answer, figuring out what it was. All right, I'm going to lead up. Okay, here we go. The correct answer to this week's Lost in Translation. I do not feel that way. Very tired, very active. I was surprised. Not me or you. The answer is, and I've actually been wondering how we do this. Sorry, I'm breaking the tension, I realize. Because I know that it's kind of annoying, and one of the things that was holding me back from putting full episodes on YouTube for a while is the fact that if I actually put songs in, YouTube can copyright claim it and take it down, or just like my channel isn't even monetized because I don't have enough subs, so go and sub. But like you can't get monetized for that content. So I'm wondering if I have to change the pod so we're not using grabs from songs, which is kind of annoying, but we'll see how we go. I'll do it this week and we'll just see how we go. But maybe I should do it like this. Maybe I should sing the lyrics to the tune of the original song and then see if you guys get it. I'll do that. All right. So the answer is, and maybe this sounds familiar, I do not feel that way. Very tired, very active. I was surprised. I feel like a lot of the lyrics just got missed. I was surprised, not me or you. Okay, I'll put the real answer here. Maybe that's for the video, and then in the audio version, that maybe there's a small difference between the video and audio. In the audio version, you will hear the song. Maybe in the video version, you won't.
I've become so numb, I can't feel you there. Become so tired, so much more aware. I'm becoming this. All I want you to do is be more like me and be less like you.
Yeah, it is Numb by Linkin Park. And I think, yeah, so Not Me and You obviously is be more like me and be less like you. And I Do Not Feel That Way, I think is I've Become So Numb. But then maybe Very Tired, Very Active is Numb. And then I Was Surprised. I don't know. It just all got very corrupt and lost very, very, very lost there. But yeah, Linkin Park Numb, the remix, of course, is the Jay-Z and Linkin Park remix called Numb Encore, which is a really cool and popular sort of more fun, I don't know, more like dancey version of the song that is a bit more hip hop and a bit more cool. Maybe hear it in the club a bit. And yeah, they were really big in the 2000s, obviously. And the reason I say I'm not sure if they're still together is obviously because tragically, the lead singer Chester Bennington took his own life, which is obviously very awful, in 2017. And I don't particularly know if they are still making music as Linkin Park or how they would do that, because obviously Chester was a really big part of the sound of Linkin Park with his vocals. So hopefully they continue. I would in a future episode like to talk a bit more about the final Linkin Park album released before Chester's unfortunate passing. And I guess I should say that if you do need help, you can call Lifeline on 13 11 14. That's an important thing to do as well, because obviously Chester Bennington was really struggling but didn't really know how to speak about that or get help. So I was actually really, really, really sad when I heard about that. I was never like massively into Linkin Park, but I did really like their sound, and it was really sad when that happened. So yeah, a little bit of a melancholy ending to this week's Lost in Translation, but I will set one up for next week as well. And this one hopefully is a little bit easier for you. All right, this next song for next week's Lost in Translation, and I think people will get this. And I'm gonna do a disclaimer before we do this one. I removed one word from this, and the reason I removed it's not really even a word, and I guess you can consider this a clue. It's not really a word, but I had to remove one thing because this thing didn't like just lasted the translation exactly, because I don't think it's a translatable thing, and this might be confusing to people, but like when you know the song, you'll understand why I removed it, because it just like it wouldn't translate into anything, so it's just exactly as it is. So I've removed it from the final output, because if you heard it, you'd immediately get it. Like there'd be no ambiguity, you'd immediately get it, because I don't think this thing that I've removed ever appears in any other song ever. Like I don't even think even when I heard this song, I didn't even think this was a commonly known thing. What was it? Anyway, maybe I'm giving too much away. I will say again, a song that everybody knows. Everybody would know this song, but at the same time, I would say that it is not famous for being like a how do I put it? Like it's not, I wouldn't say it's like a famous because it's like a number one song. Like it wasn't, I don't think it was ever a chart topping song, but it certainly is a very famous song that everybody would know. I do not think there is anyone who does not know this song. So Google, if you will, please begin the translation process protocol for us, if you like.
Initiating translation process protocol. 22% complete. 50% complete. 77% complete. 100% complete. Translation result is: so no one says the future will be the same. Your business is ridiculous. Silent. Your love life. As before, the two places are not the same. If you do not have a day, week or month, or your age.
Okay, so that is the Lost in Translation for next week. I will read it again in my voice in case you have trouble understanding Google, which no one does. So no one says the future will be the same. Your business is ridiculous. Silent. Your love life. As before, the two places are not the same. If you do not have a day, week, or month, or your age. And this is actually a verse from a song. It is not a chorus. Maybe that's another clue. I don't know. But it is a very, very famous verse as well. Usually it's the chorus that I choose, but not this time. It is definitely the verse. So You know where to send them. Preferably record a voice message, 1-800-438-353. Like Scooter did this week, and I don't think I played this. Here's Scooter answering this week's Lost in Translation.
Hello, Radio Mike. This is Radio Scooter. I think I might have figured out this week's Lost in Translation. I believe it is potentially Linkin Park's Numb. Please tell me I'm right. Thank you, and get back.
We do have just a couple more things before we wrap up today. Well, a few more things, actually. We're not too close to wrapping up. Don't think the bloody show's over yet, because it's not. Got a funny message from Radio Ricky, first time contribution. Welcome to the radio family, Radio Ricky, who DM'd me on Instagram a link to a Spotify link to a song that is called 21st Century Digital Boy by the band Bad Religion, an old school punk band. Oh, just quickly circling back to the jingles, the phone number jingles. I'd love a punk version. I'd love like a punk or a pop punk version of the jingle as well. So anyone willing to do that, definitely go ahead with it. And he said, hey man, I was just wondering, is the title of your podcast inspired by this song, 21st Century Digital Boy by Bad Religion? And I said, no, it's not. I've never heard that song. But this song inspired it. And I sent him a link to the song 20th Century Boy by T-Rex, which is that is the inspiration behind the title of this podcast. Literally, I named the podcast after that song. It is a great song. You should go and listen to it, and listen to any of T-Rex's music, especially the album Electric Warrior, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. It features some of, in my opinion, the greatest songs ever written. It is a 70s glam rock style band, and Electric Warrior is one of my favorite albums of all time, as I said. 20th Century Boy, the song, does not appear on Electric Warrior. It appears, I believe, on another one of their albums called T-Rex, not called T-Rex, called Tanks. But yeah, Electric Warrior is my favorite. T-Rex, again, 70s glam rock band that I really, really like, who would more or less was the project of one guy called Mark Bolan, who tragically died in a car accident. So yeah, I really like them, and I've explored a lot of their music, and I think their sound is just absolutely blissful. So go and check out the band T-Rex, who is the inspiration behind the title of this podcast. All right. A couple more things. On the pop culture front, I wanted to talk really quickly about, and a few weeks ago I talked about Borat 2, subsequent movie film and how I really, really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was just really, really important, really timely, really relevant to 2020, and really important as a tool for challenging like political correctness a little bit, and I spoke a bit about that a couple episodes, so definitely go and check that out. But following on from that, I have done a little bit of a Sacha Baron Cohen binge. I decided to just, because I haven't, obviously saw Borat and Bruno, and I've seen a bit of Ali G, but I haven't. I decided to rewatch Bruno. Bruno obviously is another character from Sacha Baron Cohen, who is like a gay fashion designer kind of model. No, he's not a fashion designer. He's a model. And wow, that movie is so funny. Like some of the stuff that and this is the genius of Sacha Baron Cohen. It's like all of it, like a lot of it is real people. He goes out and pretends to be a character, and just seeing what people will say and do when they think something is one thing, but it's not. And he interviews like parents of child beauty pageant winners, and some of the stuff he asks them and the stuff that they're agreeing to let their children do is remarkable. Like, it is unbelievable, these people. He is a satirical genius. Like, I wish I had seen more of his stuff earlier, because Bruno it is just satirical genius. Like, that movie is so funny, and just exposes so much shit. Like, and and again, that is what Sacha Baron Cohen does. He exposes these not terrible well, not terrible people, but just like he exposes like the flaws of people that, you know, when people don't realize the truth of something, they're willing to show their sort of true selves. And sometimes you watch these and you're like, how could these people have been duped by this? This is so ludicrous. This is so insane what is occurring. But yeah, they do. And then I went to one of my friends' places on Friday night and we just chilled and watched a ton of different comedy shows. Because my friend is really into, obviously, she's really into comedy, and she was just like, let's do a comedy potluck where we just watch one episode of different comedy shows, and I like I say what I think. And we watched Who is America, which is Sacha Baron Cohen's one of his most recent projects. It's a Showtime show that is on Stan here in Australia, 7 episodes. Again, similar. It's, you know, it's Chris Lilly-esque in some sense, in the sense that he portrays lots of different characters, and it's a mockumentary. And I gotta say, I really have to say, I think this show, Who is America, is one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. I thought every episode was hilarious. Every episode was just incredibly well crafted. The hoaxes were amazing. The setups were amazing. It was unbelievable. Again, everything I said about Bruno times 10 for Who is America. He plays a character that is like a Middle Eastern guy, and he's wearing so many prosthetics. Like, it does not look like him at all. He is also you have to watch this show. It is amazing what he was able to get people to admit to do. He goes in character. He plays an ultra liberal, like a soy boy kind of liberal, who goes to one of the most racist towns in America and proposes building a mosque. And the blatant racism, literally blatant racism of these people is unbelievable. That character's really funny. The liberal dude who is really way too progressive, and it's like and that's what I like about it. Like, he pokes fun of both sides. Like, he's poking fun of ultra liberals, he's poking fun of ultra conservative conspiracy thinkers, and through the ultra liberal, like, you're laughing at the liberal dude who's going to this conservative racist town proposing they build a mosque. And you're laughing at how racist these people are, how unbelievably racist are. As the Middle Eastern guy, it's so weird. It's disturbingly weird. He manages to convince a really, really conservative guy, that he has killed someone, and he willingly participates in what he believes is killing someone. It is absolutely crazy. I could not believe it. And he plays this Italian fashion he's an Italian billionaire playboy, who is, like, again, next level. It is unbelievable what he is getting people to say. And one of the scenes, he has an assistant, and this Italian guy is in a meeting with this yacht salesman talking about buying a yacht. And in the middle of the meeting, the assistant just starts giving him a hand job. And it's just like, the other guy just doesn't say anything. He just watches it happen. And it's remarkable. I just thought this was some of the best satire, funniest satire I have seen in a show in a very long time, and I loved it. I really recommend Who is America, and I really recommend going to watch it. I just think it's 7 episodes. I watched it in like 2 nights, and I loved every second of it. Who is America? Sacha Baron Cohen. That is Mike's pop culture pick of the week. That is Mike's essential viewing for this week. Go out and watch it, and let me know your thoughts. I wanted to talk about Radio Nacho Cheese, the best friend of the show. We haven't heard from him for a while. That is because the podcast took a break in September. We didn't hear from him in September because of that. And he usually sends us a voice message every month on the last Monday of the month. He didn't do that for October. And he sent me an email. He said, "Hey, Mike, hope you're doing well. Really good to have the podcast back again. And again, welcome to the radio family, Radio Nacho Cheese, the best friend of this show. I was listening to the podcast this morning and realized this week was the 4th Monday of the month. I completely forgot to send through a message on Monday. Should I send one through this Monday or just wait until the next month? Regards, Nacho Cheese. N.C is how he signed his name." Now, I just, as we all do, I think that Nacho Cheese is, you know, the most intelligent, humble, and wonderful person in the world. So what I replied to him pretty simply was just, and let me get the email up so I can read it out. I just said to him, "Hey man, you're the cheese man. I trust your decision, Mike." Left it in his hands. I trusted his decision. And he replied the next day saying, "Right on, mate. I'll try do this Monday. Have a good weekend. Nach." Unfortunately, Nach never came through with the voicemail. I don't know why. I hope Nach is okay. I hope he's safe. Seems strange to me that he didn't end up doing it. Maybe he is waiting till next month. But Nach, I would appreciate if at the end of November, when your message comes in, if you do address why you ended up deciding not to. Because again, it was your decision. I'm not upset. I'm just curious why you said you were going to, and then some part of you decided that you weren't going to, and I'd like to know why that was. That is the end of 20th Century Boy for another week. That is all we have time for. Thank you so much for listening. Really, really appreciate you listening. Sorry, my dad's sending me a text. I left my wallet at my dad's house, so I'm going to have to go and pick that up. I was wondering where my wallet was. I'm glad I found it. What do I need to say at the end here? Okay. Mike Talks tomorrow with Broden Kelly from Auntie Donna. That is going to be an absolute ripper. I'm really excited to share that one with you guys. Harry Potter and the Boys, again, every Wednesday. Go and check it out. Listen to the first 2 chapters, please. I'd love for this to be my next big thing, I suppose, and I'd love for you guys to get around it. A lot of people have already, so it's been really cool. Subscribe to the YouTube. Check out some of my vids and the clips and stuff. I really want to grow that. Listen to the Paging Mr. Potter podcast that I did. I think that's more or less it. Oh, yes, you can support the show again. Sticker packs, radiomike.com.au. I'll put some on the screen here, there. They're on the screen there if you're watching the video. If you're not, you don't get to see them, I suppose. And leave a review, please. Written reviews are the best way to grow this show. 20th Century Boy and Harry Potter and the Boys would be really, really cool. And if you're watching the video, thumb it up, subscribe if you haven't, leave a comment, just engage with it. That just helps it get recommended and pushed and YouTube's algorithm and whatnot. And the other great way you can support the show that would mean a lot to me, aside from just getting in touch however you can and telling me your thoughts, is just share it with friends. Just tell your friends, hey, this is a cool podcast that I really like and I think you'll like it too. Or hey, if you want to listen to some guy read Harry Potter fan fiction from when he was 13, go listen to this, or go check out this clip and go follow this guy on Insta. That's just a really, really easy way to support me that genuinely means a lot to me. So for another week, and I will catch you next week and tomorrow for Mike Talks, my name has been Ratio Mark. This has been the Inside of My Mind. Never block the MDF. If you've thought about it, you're fucked. And I am a very kind young man, and some of your staff could learn a lot from me. And finally, don't lie to me. I saw you. So you guys have a fantastic week, and I'll catch you soon.